Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here with the Pokemon Sword and Shield moveset video guide on how to use Galarian Corsola. Now this Pokemon is so annoying that it's not even a fully evolved Mon, and it is better than its evolution. Alright, with the combination of a Violite giving it that boost in defense and special defense, times 1.5, and its great ability in Cursed Body, which seems to activate 100% of the time when I touch this Pokemon with any move. On top of the fact that it has Strength Sap, and Strength Sap is so good because basically it lowers the attack of the target by 1, and it also by -1, and it also heals you based on their actual attack stat. And with Corsola having 60 base HP, it's so good for this Pokemon to almost recover to full all the time. Like, this Mon sucks your it is so annoying. I'm talking like the annoyance of Strength Sap plus Cursed Body. It's like, you know, getting out of high school and immediately getting married and then finding out you're having quintuplets, right? On the first year of being married, right? Straight out of high school. Or like finding out that the IRS has hit you with a $20,000 bill from 3 years ago, and the only reason it's $20,000 is because it took them 3 years to get it to you. I'm getting a little bit too personal with this Pokemon, but I'm talking about this Mon is insanely good. Being a spin blocker, being able to Will-O-Wisp your opponent, getting consistent damage off with Nightshade as well, makes it a fantastic Pokemon in a metagame where Galarian Darmanitan, Dracovish, and Dracozolt, sorry, I just smacked my mic, but 3 very, very prominent physical attackers are running around. So Galarian Corsola, with the power of Violite, and the fact that it can spin block, and the fact that it can Will-O-Wisp, is extremely annoying and very prominent as a physical wall. Though there isn't much that deviates when it comes to like the moveset doesn't really deviate when it comes to this Pokemon. Physically defensive is what you're gonna run, especially in, again, a metagame where I already mentioned the top 3 physical Mons. You also have Gyarados up there running around. I don't think special defensive can really work too well right now, but being able to stop Galarian Darmanitan, you know, 30% of the time from clicking Icicle Crash again, or stopping a Dracovish from clicking Vicious Rend is insane. And the fact that it can actually live hits like that, even from Choice Band versions of them, is crazy. You can Will-O-Wisp to cripple your opponent. Again, Nightshade is consistent damage. Strength Sap gets your health back. And even on top of that, it's a pretty solid rocker, because this thing is going to force switches, especially when Cursed Body happens. I've had plenty of times where I was in a position to sweep by clicking maybe a move like Icicle Crash or Vicious Rend or Hydro Pump from Rotom, whatever it is, and Cursed Body is just activated, stopping me from sweeping. So it's a very annoying and prominent physical wall. And again, much doesn't deviate. You're gonna want to run, excuse me, max HP, max defense, bold nature for special defense. If you want to run another move over Nightshade, and the reason I like Nightshade is because it's guaranteed consistent damage, and it's breaking, it's just doing a lot for a Pokemon that only has 65 base special attack. So you're doing guaranteed 100 damage every single time you go off of it. You could run Hex though, especially because Hex becomes 130 base power when you are Will-O-Wisping your opponent, or when you have status your opponent, whether it be Will-O-Wisp, Para, Sleep, it doesn't matter, Poison. So Hex is an option. I do like Nightshade more though, because it can actually break a substitute from Corviknight. Otherwise, you're not really in a position to do that, and Corviknight is something that can actually set up on you. Despite getting Cursed Body, it can just bulk up to +6 until Cursed Body, or until the Cursed Body phases out, and do that. So Nightshade gives you a way of breaking the sub and still doing something like Will-O-Wisp. It can still do the exact same thing, but at least you can break the sub. The other option, though, if you don't want to run Stealth Rock on this Pokemon, is actually Haze. And Haze is a pretty cool option for 2 reasons. One, you stop setup, right? A Pokemon can be +6 or they're +5 going for the +6. They're getting really greedy on you. You go for Haze, and all that setup is gone. Another cool little option as well is, or another cool little thing about that is that while Strength Sap does lower your opponent's attack, obviously that limits the amount of recovery you can get by spamming Strength Sap. You know, the lower they get, the less of an attack stat they're going to have, which means less recovery. So Haze is pretty cool in you're giving them back their attack just to suck it right back with Strength Sap, which I think is super, super cool. Especially on a Pokemon with Cursed Body that is, for the most part, man, again, I'm saying this Pokemon's so annoying because I've, from my experience of using it and from my experience of playing versus it, is it activates a lot. You know, it activates a lot, man. 30%, man. 30% might as well be 100% for what I'm saying. So obviously, if you curse body your opponent's physical move and then you just go for strength step after, you're not really worried about that. So being able to get a recovery is super cool. This Pokemon is obviously not unbeatable. There are plenty of threats. It's scared of knockoff, right? The combination of a defensive core of like Ferrothorn and Toxapex can Leech Seed and switch back and forth, can burn you. Ferrothorn can also knock off Corsola's Eviolite, making it less bulky, for sure, which is pretty big. Of course, you do have to worry about, if you are a physical attacker, though, I would beware being burnt by Will-O-Wisp. But Pokemon like Hydreigon as well, Sub-Natural Supply Hydreigon, you can just substitute on and, you know, go ahead and +6. You don't care. You're a special attacker. You really don't care. As long as you're, you know, boosted all the way, you can knock it out. With Dark Pulse, I believe +4 is enough to knock out Corsola with Dark Pulse from full HP. And obviously the Curse Body is something you have to worry about. That's the big thing about it too, because even if Corsola goes down, if Curse Body's activated and you were set up to sweep, you know, that could absolutely stop. In terms of teammates, Clerics are really nice. I think Galarian Weezing is pretty cool for also defogging away Toxic Spikes or even setting them up for Corsola. Also, I love the combination of like Corsola, Mandibuzz, Ferrothorn, Toxapex. It's a really bulky core, and it's a Pokemon that it just works really well with those because they can either pivot into the moves that don't Corsola doesn't want to take, the Ghost and Dark type attacks, for example. Mandibuzz can deal with those. Mandibuzz can also defog away Toxic Spikes and Hazards. Toxapex absorbs Toxic Spikes and lays them up, and can basically deal with most of the mons that can deal with Corsola. Like, for example, if someone's running like a banded Dracovish, that's something you have to worry about. But the combination of Cursola's Curse Body and Will-O-Wisp, Toxapex Baneful Bunker and Regenerator, and Ferrothorn's Iron Barbs can help you deal with that. So they stack really, really well together. But all in all, it's a pretty solid Pokemon. And I actually thought at first it was overrated when earlier on in the meta, but after using it, it's like, yeah, it's rated pretty well. Exactly where it needs to be. I do think that if the metagame ends up shifting, if there are bans, and if certain Pokemon aren't ran as well, like if Darmanitan goes, and maybe Dracovish, I doubt Dracovish will go, but if Dynamaxing goes too, there's a lot more leeway to maybe use a little bit more of a special defensive set. But for now, I think physically defensive is the best way to use it. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Later today, I should have a Showdown live featuring this Pokemon. And that's it. Stay tuned. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.